Boy, everyone needs to chill. Micah Parsons is not trying to request a trade to the Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely ridiculous. The Eagles, though, are number one in Peter King's latest power ranking, and K'Von Wallace, he really wants to start at safety. Remember him? I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Monday. Like and subscribe for all the latest Eagles and NFL offseason news. Let's begin with the most ridiculous story of the day, and that is Micah Parsons. He wants to be an Eagle so bad he's going to request a trade. Oh my goodness. Jeez, this was nuts. On Twitter, all over YouTube, people saying that just because Micah Parsons, as seen in these pictures above, was wearing a Tyrese Maxey jersey at the Sixers game last night, which they won, by the way. Thumbs up for that. That means he wants to be an Eagle. And of course, you see Victor Williams' tweet here saying, oh my gosh, there's also a dot connecting him to the Eagles. Picture of Brian Westbrook wearing a Philadelphia Phillies jersey. Guys, Micah Parsons is from Pennsylvania. He went to Penn State. He probably grew up liking these teams. He probably is an Eagle fan. Like, deep down, he probably is an Eagle fan. Guess what? Dallas would never, ever in a billion years trade him to the Philadelphia Eagles. And they would also never, ever let him hit the free agent market where he could sign with the Philadelphia Eagles. Parsons is one of the best defenders in the National Football League. You don't let that person go to your most hated arch rival, even if he, as a kid, was an Eagle fan. Now, we all have this in terms of, different teams that we like in areas that we grew up, or at least some of us do. Not everyone is born and raised in Philadelphia, therefore is an Eagle fan and a Sixer fan and a Flyer fan and a Philly fan. Some people were born elsewhere, became an Eagle fan, and are also a Mavericks fan, or also a Laker fan, or are also a Cubs fan. Like, it just goes around. So this whole idea that Micah Parsons is going to request a trade is, one, ridiculous, because he's obviously still on his rookie contract, and is going to get a boatload of money from Dallas very soon. And two, Dallas would never, ever trade him to Philadelphia. We got to stop with this stuff. I know that it's clickbaity, and it gets headlines, and it's so exciting, but no, he's not going to be an Eagle. He's not going to be an Eagle anytime soon. It would take him forcing his way out of Dallas and taking less to play with the Eagles, which I'm telling you, he is not going to do. What do you guys think? Is this all just BS, meant to draw clicks to people's accounts? Let me know if you guys agree. I think it is. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, over here to Peter King, his latest Monday Morning Quarterback article for NBC Sports, or his Pro Football Talk article for NBC Sports, has his power rankings, and look who's sitting there at number one. Peter agrees that Philadelphia has no weakness. Listen to this. Quote, the Eagles, number one, the Eagles average 34.7 points per game in the playoffs, have adequately compensated for losses of both coordinators, and are not worse at any position. Amazing, the defensive line, considering they had 69 sacks last year and lost Javon Hargrave. Have an offensive line that should keep upright a rising superstar quarterback of the future at the top of his game, and that will field two top 15 NFL wideouts entering age 25, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, who is 26, end quote. Now, he's right, obviously, on this. He also put Kansas City 2, Cincinnati 3, San Francisco is 4, Buffalo is 5. The 49er love is very interesting. It's always there, just based on the fact they do have some talent, but they got to figure out the quarterback spot, and Brock Purdy is not even throwing footballs yet in terms of that surgery and the injury that was caused by the blocking, or I guess the tight end blocking Hassan Reddick in the NFC title game. Just for fun, Detroit 6, Baltimore 7, Miami 8, Jets 9, Dallas there at number 10 to round out the top 10 from Peter King. I think most power rankings should have Philadelphia 1. Now, you can make an argument Kansas City, but who got better this offseason? Philadelphia did. I mean, truly, Philadelphia got way better this offseason. Kansas City is going to be great regardless of who they have because of Patrick Mahomes, but if you're asking me who's a better overall team, better overall roster, and in a much easier conference that's a lot more winnable based on the postseason, it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Curious where you guys are at in terms of rankings as well. All right, Jacob Sports has a very interesting tweet here in terms of the preference for the Eagles' opening matchup, and apparently one of their I believe it was questions on Birds 365 is what they're referencing here, asked what the dream Week 1 matchup would be for the Philadelphia Eagles. Curtis, your guys' thoughts on this, by the way. What's your dream Week 1 matchup? Would you rather have to play Mahomes in Kansas City on Thursday night to open the season, or at home against Jonathan Gannon and the Cardinals? It's an interesting question, as we are going to get the NFL schedule either Thursday or potentially potentially Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. There's a new report saying that it could be later on this weekend versus earlier in the week, so we'll know exactly the schedule very soon. I think I'd rather have Kansas City. Now, opening against Kansas City, very tough, on the road, Super Bowl champs, but it'd be a really, really good statement game for Philadelphia to waltz into Kansas City and prove that, yes, they were just as good as Kansas City, if not better than Kansas City, and they've gotten better than Kansas City this offseason. So I would rather have Kansas City, but I guess if you want an easy win and a drubbing of a team that you're really annoyed with just because, obviously, Kyler Murray's kind of annoying and Jonathan Gannon exists on that football team, then you'd want to host a home game against the Arizona Cardinals. So curious what you guys would rather have. Thumbs up for the fact that we're going to go ahead and get a schedule release later on this week, which hopefully will be favorable for Philadelphia and give us a lot of really good primetime matchups as well, which they should because the Eagles are must-see TV. There's also this tweet from Jacob Sports that is circling in on a K'Von Wallace tweet you see at the bottom of the screen here. Wallace said recorded 0 missed tackles last year, BTW, with the little covering the eye emoji. Could K'Von finally take the next step, asked Jacob Media? And I think this is a very interesting question. We've forgotten about K'Von Wallace. He was supposed to be, the Clemson guy drafted to be the next great safety in Philadelphia and never, ever, ever came close to that. Now, he's a little bit, I'm not going to say wrong in not missing a tackle last year. That's true, but how many missed tackles could he have actually had if he was a starting safety instead of filling in here and there and being on special teams? And so hopefully he's been in the lab. Hopefully he is competing, but he has a very, very, very big uphill battle in order to even get close to starting at safety with Reed Blankenship and Justin Evans and Terrell Edmonds and Sidney Brown. I mean, come on, there's 4 safeties there that are really battling for 2 spots, and a lot of them seemingly are ahead of K'Von Wallace. So I don't think he's close yet, but this is going to be one of the big training camp battles to watch. It's going to be the safety spot because I don't know if we know exactly who's going to be at either safety. We assume Blankenship. What if Blankenship struggles and Wallace plays better, or Edmond plays better, or Brown starts to go ahead and pop a little bit in training camp his rookie year? I don't know, but I would be very curious to see what K'Von Wallace is going to do in terms of taking that next step. All right, next story here comes from Dov Kleiman. Quickly, they've announced the compensatory picks for the 2024 NFL Draft, and now we know where the Eagles will stand in terms of those extra draft picks for losing players this offseason. Obviously, the April 25th draft will be in Detroit this year. There you go. All the teams, but one most importantly, the Eagles. They have 1/3 compensatory pick, 2 in the 5th, and 1 6th. So they're going to have over 10, probably close to 12 total draft picks in the 2024 NFL Draft, although they did trade away a 4th rounder in 2025, and so you move things around it, but it should be about 10 to 12 overall and draft picks. So thumbs up for that. Just want to give you guys the compensatory picks here. That way we know what to look forward to when the Eagles hopefully come off a Super Bowl and then add even more talent in 2024 because of all the draft picks and good moves Howie Roseman has done. My final story here, which was very wild. This tweet comes from Dov Kleiman. There was a report saying that the Washington Commanders reached out to Andrew Luck this past offseason to see if he was interested in coming back and playing for them. However, that'd be a violation of tampering rules because Luck retired as a Colt and still is technically a Colt for life because you have to be released by the Colts or traded by the Colts in order to sign with another football team. And now, apparently, quote, the Colts are exploring whether the Commanders tampered with quarterback Andrew Luck, a source told Holder Steven. The team is unclear with the nature of the conversation, but it is seeking to learn more about what exactly transpired and whether any tampering occurred. There's a thin line there in terms of tampering, and if they did tamper, then you're talking about draft picks or fines or some sort of suspension for GM or whoever made the phone call. This could be a very serious violation for the Washington Commanders. You can't do this. You can't reach out to people who are retired for certain football teams in order to gauge. Now, you can technically work around this by just having a casual conversation, but any sort of official reach out to Andrew Luck would be considered tampering, and that would not be good for the Washington Commanders. It also shows you the Commanders are not very happy with their current quarterback spot, which they didn't really address this offseason. I mean, truly, Sam Howell will go into the Commanders offseason as the starter, and so you can kind of mark one team off, I think, and again, it's very early to say this, but one team off in terms of threats to the NFC East. The Giants are going to be better this year than they were last year, but still, Philadelphia drubbed them in the postseason. Did they get better at quarterback or wide receiver? Kind of shrug your shoulders there. And then, of course, the Dallas Cowboys, who are always going to be your biggest threat, at least as their current roster is standing, but I don't think they improved that much this offseason, and I really think Philadelphia should be able to win one of 2 games, probably 2, but at least be 2 or 3 games ahead in the win column when it all comes down to the end of the NFC East. So keep an eye on this story here, because the Commanders did tamper. It's going to be very interesting to see what the NFL does about that, because that should not be allowed. Also, why would you reach out to Andrew Luck? The dude's been retired forever. There's no way he would ever come back. It's been way, way too long. Okay, ultimately today on this edition of the Thomas Mott Show. Again, it's the off-season, but plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. Be sure to like and subscribe as we get closer and closer to 12,000 subscribers here on Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show.